In this video I'm going to show you how to start a second color. You can use this when you're getting ready to change colors if you're doing 4 panels. You can also use this if you're making any kind of stripe. I'm going to show you this as though you were going to make a thin stripe and carry your yarn. So that means that I've got my white here and I'm not cutting my white yarn, right? I've still got it sitting here. Here's the white yarn. Hello, white yarn. And I've attached my pink yarn here with just a little temporary knot. It's not a knot that I'll leave there at the end, but it will keep things in place and make it a little bit easier as I'm working. Now, at the point where you change colors here at this end, things get a little bit strange, and so I want to just show you what happens there, because ordinarily when you change colors things are fairly straightforward, but because of this first slip stitch and because you're trying to keep track of this brick stitch and so forth, it can sometimes get a little bit confusing. I recommend that you try to keep track of where you are in your pattern, you know, which row you're on, that kind of thing. Are you on row 1? Are you on row 2? Because that can also help you at this point. Now, if you're doing a thin stripe, I suggest you do 4 rows. That means down, back, of that pattern, because that's really, it does really take that much before that stripe resolves itself. 2 rows isn't quite enough. But I'm going to just show you 2 rows here because that'll be enough to see what happens at this end. So I've attached my second color here, the pink, to my first color, the white, with just a temporary knot. And the first thing that I'm going to have to do, of course, is to slip this first stitch. So that means I'm really not starting with the pink immediately, right? So I slip that first stitch with my yarn and back, and I'm going to be holding both of these just here at the beginning, both the pink and the white, and slip that first stitch. Now I'm ready to knit a brick with these 2 strands of white, and that's where I'm going to really start using the pink. So I let go of the white, bring the pink up, and knit those 2 strands together. Then I bring the pink to the front and slip this stitch that looks like a purl stitch, and then I'm going to knit these 2 strands to make a brick. Bring the pink to the front, slip, and knit. Bring the pink to the front, slip, and knit. Now I want to show you what's happening here, because this gives you actually a pretty clear idea of what's happening with your knitting. You've got your slipped first stitch, which is white, your pink here that represents the knitted brick stitch that you made, then a pink and a white together that represent the 2 strands that you've set up to make a brick on the next side, then another pink stitch from the brick stitch that you made, then another pink and white paired together, and so on and so forth. So what that means is that for this first row of the so-called new color, you're actually combining the new color and the old color together. And that's part of why you've got to make more than just 1 row or so of the new color in order for the stripe to resolve itself. So I'm going to keep going. Finish up this row. I'm not going to keep identifying the stitches that I'm making because I assume that you're familiar with those from the other video. I turn my work and I see my little 2-color, and remember how messy the brioche knitting looked when you first started down at the bottom? It looks messy again because you've got the 2 colors going on there, but that's just what happens when you've got the first row of the second color in there. So we work again. This one's fairly straightforward. Slip our first stitch and work our second row. Now, as we work this row, we're getting rid of all those white strands. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second, or maybe you've already anticipated what I mean, but I will still show you. Now, all the little bits of yarn on the needle are pink. None of them are white. But the knitting that we've done still doesn't look very clean. It still doesn't look like a very clean stripe, and that's why I say it's worth it to go ahead and make another couple of rows. And so I'll do that just so that you can see that then did I just do that correctly, or did I do that incorrectly? I'm talking and okay. So that then you can start to see how the new the stripe of the new color becomes quite visible. Starting to get better there. Wait a minute, I didn't put my yarn in the back. You probably caught that. Put my yarn there. Okay. All right. So if we turn over to the first side, you can really see a fairly clear pink strip there now, or pink stripe. Now, if I change back to the white, and I've still got the white back here, the same thing will happen again. Now in this case, the white is going to be just a little bit looser because we aren't actually tying it to the pink, right? We're just carrying it up the back and then starting to work with it. And I'm just going to show you how that works so that you'll be able to continue working with it. So I slip my pink first stitch, and then I'm ready to knit here with my white, and I've brought it up in the back since I'm going to be knitting first. Let me get my thumb out of the way there so you can see what's happening. I've brought my white up in the back, and I'm going to knit that first brick. Then I bring it to the front in order to make my first slip one yarn over. Oops, split my stitch again. Alright. And you can see I'm making another row where I'm getting pink and white both happening at the same time. My fabric is sort of wanting to bunch up on me. We'll come around to the other side. I've still got my pink yarn there, but I probably don't need it since I'm only making one stripe. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it, get it out of the way. So I'll slip here with my yarn in the back, bring my yarn to the front, slip, knit these two strands together, yarn to the front, keep working, And as you can see, I'm getting rid of all the pink strands there. I only have white strands now. When I get to the very end, slip this one and knit into that final pink. Alright, so now I'm back to working with the white, and I'll just keep going. Oops, back to working just with the white. I'll keep going that way on with my fabric, and I'll have a nice pink stripe there.